Good afternoon, live from the Waldorf Hotel in London. It's Simon Whale on his latest Kerfuffle panel discussion show with absolutely blue blood royalty here. The award rooms would be running dry of Mr. Sheen. They've got so many trophies amongst them all. We have Asad Riaz. Fantastic to have you here today, sir. You all right?
Yeah, very well, thanks.
Excellent. Here we are. Location. We have Lars, the architect and co-founder as well here of obviously of Area. Great to have you on.
Thank you, Simon. Thanks for having me.
And Spencer with a quiff that should be in Zoolander, the fantastic Paramount property. How are you, sir?
Fantastic, thank you. Hello, everyone.
Good.
Hi, Spencer. How are you? Are
looking at again. I'm not surprised here. Why can't you have the decency, Spencer, to chub out like the rest of us in lockdown? You know, are the 15,000 calories a day not starting to add up?
Working very hard on my fitness at the moment. So
disgusting. Okay, well, you lost me there. That's it. Forget that.
Let's move on swiftly.
We're not here to talk about that.
Yeah.
Unless automation is a key thing. Unless you know how to automate an exercise regime, then I'm very
Get on the Peloton, Simon. Get on your Peloton. Yeah. Turn your legs round occasionally.
Yeah. That actually, they were not distracting here. I've used it once and bought it.
And I've seen that on the leaderboard.
That's the problem with following people on stuff like this. Anyway, there's the intro's done. Right. Okay. Well, today, last time we had you on, Lars, obviously we were talking about Area, and it was very much an introduction to people who didn't know it. And what we said we always like to do is that we then obviously like to have on the people who ultimately are using the service there to talk about their own experiences. And that is very much the case here. And the first thing I'll kick off with, as much as I was joking about at the beginning, I think you can read a lot into a product or service based on the early adopters. And without blowing too much smoke, you must be very happy, Lars, to have the likes of Asad and Spencer on at such an early stage and giving you fantastic feedback.
Yeah, that's very true, Simon. A really good point. I think when we decided to make it a standalone product and go to market, it was never really a full market launch. We wanted to approach, I guess, friendly, but more importantly, like-minded estate agents that would, get the benefits that we thought the product would offer. And obviously, the likes of Paramount and location fall right into that space. And absolutely, who better to have two great independents like location, Paramount using the product, enjoying it, becoming an integral part of their business, I hope. And absolutely the forefront of how well the software's gone.
And could you just give me a briefest of kind of as to what Area is all about?
Yes. So it's a cloud-based platform, and ultimately it's there to help agents interact digitally with their customers. And how we're doing that, we're automatically responding to all new digital leads that land in the platform. We're then collecting the customer's availability, their search profile, and the key criteria around their search. And then we're also now suggesting alternative similar properties as well. So there's also property matching. So very much through the automation side of it, we're helping agents, really take the customer digital journey along as smoothly and as effectively as we possibly can.
And one of the things we talk to many companies. Some of them are sort of created in the, a bit of a techie ivory tower. They've had a great idea. They don't really know agency per se. And it takes a while to get that minimum viable product sorted out. One of the fantastic things, though, that I love about, I always deem you guys almost prop tech 3.0. This is real estate agents having a challenge within their own businesses and actually having the tools and resources these days to create solutions. So, you don't really have, there never is really so much of a thing as a minimum viable product because you're pretty well versed in knowing what the agents want.
Yeah, so primarily the product started, or the idea started within Keaton's estate agents, which some of you out there will be familiar with. And so that, and the products remain sort of in part in association with Keaton's. A lot of the stuff that gets built and developed gets tested within Keaton's first. That's a really good place to see if an idea is worth running with. But yeah, primarily it was built within Keaton's, and built really just for Keaton's own sake, really, to help modernise their business, make sure they stayed ahead of the curve in terms of prop tech, and really bespoke their own lead management dashboard. But once we realised it was a product that could stand on its own 2 feet, that's when we started inviting friendly agents like location and board to test it as well. So, and it's gone from there. So yeah, it's I'm far from a techie, so don't worry, guys. It's not me who built it. Far from it. It's only my estate agent experience that I lend to the project. But yeah, no, you're right. It's not been built in some isolated tech tower that has no communication with estate agents and gets lost on the way because of that.
Well, don't worry about the technical knowledge. I can barely work Tinder. So, okay, Asad, can we start with you first? What was it that attracted you to Area then? What, I assume, obviously, that handling of the leads was a critical issue for you.
Yeah, I think lead handling has always been an issue for a state agency. And up until we spoke to Lars and Kaya Area, we were pretty much reliant on leads coming in via emails.
Yep.
And like I think it was Peter Knight did the data on it. 50% did that go unanswered.
Yes.
I wouldn't say ours was 50%, but did we really know how many fell through the net? Not really. And then when we had a look at the Area product, it was sort of just, it answered all the questions. It solved all the issues around lead management. You get absolute visibility on what's coming in, who's dealing with what, the timescales, what that particular customer's doing, what their requirements are. And then, like Lars said, the automation around that has just been, and they've continued to add features to that, like auto matching. So the product's just got better and better. So to us, it's a no-brainer. It's one of those bits of prop tech that actually solves a real life problem
that you actually like.
Yeah, absolutely. See the benefit, and over the last 2 years, there's been a tangible benefit to using Area.
That's really good to hear. Spencer, likewise. Look, your silence is telling me everything now, Spencer. Say, Spencer, do you agree as well? Is that very much the same thing?
Yeah, I mean, for us, for the insights piece, what did we have before? Which is really what we want prop tech to solve for us. Back end data has been key. I'm a data monster. It all sits in one place. If I want to go there, I know where to go. It's not en masse. It's nice, sort of easy bite-sized pieces. You can look at your inquiries in terms of peak times and days. So you actually know when to sort of have people there ready to deal with inquiries in your peaks, and on your troughs, you know that that's the time you can be out showing these qualified, applicants. Obviously, lead source staff, SLAs, so service level agreements. I mean, not from a big brother element, but it definitely has tightened up the individual consultants' approach to their work. And actually, it's made them a little bit more accountable themselves. How each consultant is performing, and that's for them to look at as well, which is, is there anything they can change? It's, you could go through a sort of difficult patch, and I think Area, from a consultant's perspective, can actually point you in the right direction of where you need to make adjustments to try and create more successes. And then, a great bit of kit for us is, one of our issues, we just got too many leads. And, working with Area, they gave us, pointers in the right direction in terms of, if you go to these leads where they fill out some extra details about themselves, the data tells us they're 3 times more likely to end up moving into a new rented property from our perspective. So actually knowing where, it's a filtration system, but then it tells you where to go first as well. So lots of things from an insight perspective that we didn't have before that we now do. So it works from my perspective and also the individuals and the team perspective. So it's sort of a win-win-win situation. So I hope that helps in terms of, you know, what we did have and what it's given us.
I think that's really useful. And I think one of the key things I take from that, and I'm sure Lars will love to hear, is it sounds to me like sometimes us as principals can, depth charge solutions onto our teams, you know, with the best of intentions, and we think it here, and actually they never really get adopted in the way that we'd hope they had done as well. And it's a really key sign of a quality bit of normally tech solution, to be fair, when the teams actually find it useful as well, don't they? Because it actually, they can see the value in it. From what you're saying there, that sounds like it's very much the case.
Yeah, and I guess from the team's perspective is all of them are able to pick up the phone and speak to the team at area, you know, so that it doesn't need to come through one channel. They've all got different ideas, and I think to feel like part of the process, area have been sort of super inclusive. They sent us they did an update recently. And they sent us a quick little video that we could share around the team. One person's got a question off the back of that. Then they don't come back to me or someone else. They just pick up the phone and speak to the area. So, you know, they're just, you know, they're nice people to deal with, and they understand, because obviously, you know, the link with Keaton's. It means they understand the challenges that we're experiencing day to day. And feeling part of the process and it being progressive has been great for us.
I think what you also said there about that point about, you know, interestingly enough, you know, for a lot of the time, people are saying, how do I get more leads? How do I get more leads? But that just simply isn't the case for most agents at the moment, is it? And actually, I've made myself very unpopular with marketing departments over the years, saying, look, you simply aren't. You aren't short of leads at all. What you are short of is the ability to deal with the number of leads and to highlight and get to the, you know, the hottest leads in the quickest possible time. And there's this horrible phrase, it's not just obviously from agency, but in particular where we deem them tire kickers, don't we? Where we, you know, on a view of the lead form, we say, nah, it's a tire kicker, I won't get back to them. Well, by not getting back to them in the shortest possible time, you are pretty much guaranteeing they are going to be tire kickers, because as we know, speed of response in this day and age in particular is absolutely critical in terms of conversion, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's great. Well, that's really good to hear the sort of overview there, and I'm sure Lars likes to hear that from them. Could I ask you kind of specifically, start again just with you, Assad? Really, what do you feel like are the three key features that you like from the software itself, and how that benefits you?
I think the first one is the automation around allowing whoever's inquiring to complete more details, as in to self-register, and to let us know what times they are available. That alone saves them so much time. The other thing is we're able to manage the team's behaviours by using SLAs. The team are very, very clear as to, number one, how long they've got to respond to that lead, as in is it 15 minutes, is it 1 hour? Within that sort of time frame from that lead coming in, that lead needs to be responded to. And then moving on from that, within a 7-day period, we have certain sort of rules in place that need to be adhered to. So it manages their behaviour, it builds good habits for them as well. And I suppose the other one's the insights as well. Like Spencer mentioned, you can see the time of day your leads are coming in, you can see who's dealing with what, you can see how those leads have been dealt with. So the information it gives you, and then as a result of that, the decisions you can make are invaluable. I honestly don't know how we did it before we had Area.
I think I've actually just nicked that as a new catchphrase, really. If it's one of those solutions that you hear people say, you know, I just wish I'd found it earlier. Again, that's a great litmus test, isn't it, for really good solutions of all sorts.
Yeah, and especially this year, as probably Lars and Spencer will testify, that the lead volume's just been immense, over double what we're normally used to. And I just don't think without this particular product, we would have been able to handle it at all. We would have probably sunk in leads. And what it has done is enable us to, even with aero, it was a challenge, but thank God we had it really this year.
But you're working on hard stats, aren't you? Useful information again there, rather than kind of a gut feel of I know that things aren't working right.
Yeah, you are. So yeah, exactly. You can see what's happening. You can see where the weak points are in the business in terms of handling leads, and you can make good decisions. So whether that's we need more resources, whether that's dealing with the leads at different times and rejigging the diaries and stuff like that. And because we have those insights, we've been able to do that and get on top of the volumes really.
Fantastic. Cheers, that said. Spencer, same question. Which 3 features appeals to you?
I think the simplicity of it, in terms of it's very, very user friendly, color coded. Your eyes move around the screen. It tells you where to go. I am in no way very techie, and the team love any change when you're trying to bring change into the day-to-day processes of time poor consultants. They want something that's right. I can immediately see this is going to be a win, and you want their buy-in. And actually, with Area, they bought into that as fast as they have anything else in the history of anything we bought. Normally, it's like, oh no, not again, Spence. What's this one? Not this one, please. And they strangely thanked me for this. So, I'll take that as a big, big win. That's a big endorsement if there ever was one. Obviously, from the consumer's perspective, that we're talking about immediate response. They get an immediate response. Yeah. They can set a callback time, viewing availability, and obviously, as Lars alluded to at the start of this sort of alternative property. There are some other ones that might suit your needs. So, people tend to come in on one, and actually that isn't the perfect one, but there are a couple round the corner. So I think from the consumer's perspective as well, it keeps them on quite a nice sort of tight pathway, but then helps them in their search for new property. So yeah, they're the sort of easy to use, the color coded situation, the way that the change was embraced by the guys upstairs. And the fact that the consumer has an easier digital journey in terms from sort of seeing something to setting up a viewing. So there's a lot there. There's a lot there.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And Lars, is that what you would have expected or hoped to hear from your clients?
Yeah, wow, I can just keep silent now. That's I could have pitched it better, guys. So thanks very much. No, they've literally hit the nail on the head with all the points they've made. So both Spencer and Ascent's teams have been using it, for a couple of years now. So they're fully engaged with the products, and it's great to hear that their front end teams think as much of it as the business leaders do. And I think that's Spencer said that's there's no better endorsement than that. So. Yeah, look, you can't, I think historically, estate agency leaders were very, very reliant on anecdotal evidence, weren't they, when speaking to their frontline teams? How busy you are, where are the leads coming from, which source channel is doing better than the next? And it's kind of a bit hearsay, really. And to be fair, that's all we could do. We didn't have that hard data, but the platform has all that hard data in there at a touch of a button, where how different your source channels are doing. Where the majority of leads are coming from, what time. So, as we all know, 55 to 60% of leads are coming overnight. It doesn't make sense for estate agents to be at hand, ready to pick up the phone to those customers. Those customers wouldn't want the estate agents to pick up the phone to them at that point, or probably email them. But why not give them the opportunity to carry on their registration digitally? That's what customers want. Give customers what they want, and it's proven to be true, because if you take away the percentage of spam leads that we get estate agents receive from the portals or whatever channel it is, and that's about 20%, the conversion rate of customers self-serving is 50% and above. So 1 in 2 clients are choosing to self-service, and to have, bear in mind 60% of your customers are registering with you or inquiring about a property when you're not there. To have 50% of those and more then go and provide information to you, so when your your frontline teams are there in the morning, ready to pick up the phone. They can build that rapport, prioritise those leads much more quickly than if it was just a basic lead from Rightmove, for example, where all they have to do is make the inquiry, leave a name and a telephone, an email and a telephone number, and not provide any other further insights about how motivated they are. So I think Spencer touched on it, and we've done a bit of data crunch on this, number crunch on this. We've looked at completions over a long period, over 6 months for sales and lettings, and for those clients that did provide some self-service, they're twice more likely to go on to do business with the estate agent than if they hadn't. But that's not to say that people that didn't self-service aren't still good customers. You're of course still going to contact them, but to know those people when the lead does land, there's one that's self-serviced against one that hasn't. I'm going to contact that one first and work that one a bit harder, because they're twice, 3 times as likely to go and convert and do business with us. So, that whole prioritization point, which both Asad and Spencer made, is essential, because we are swamped with leads, and you need to get to those more motivated leads quicker than your competitors.
I think that's really interesting. There is a real trend, isn't there, towards self-service. And for a while, it took a lot of businesses who prided themselves actually on service. Well, we're going to do that. It's our job to do it. And actually, that a sizable demographic, and indeed a growing demographic, they just want to be able to do that themselves. The immediacy of it, get it out of the way, and that's why being able to provide them with that option, they get what they need. And of course, what you're saying from that is the benefit is as well, they're going to get a better service realistically.
Yeah, I think that's the fear of some agents. They think it's an either-or conversation. It's not. It's just because someone's provided self-service. That doesn't mean you don't need a good quality agent at the other end of the line to then converse them, actually drill down into their search, and then start booking in appointments. Of course you do. It's just getting to that point quicker when you're not there to service them anyway, because 60% of your leads are out of office hours. So it's not an either-or argument. The two work in tandem. But yes, as agents are able to automate parts of their business more, and they really should be looking at that, yes, there's the possibility to possibly save them some wage costs, some headcount, but it's actually ultimately really about improving the customer experience. And that's where I think that the two sides of area really come into play. Yes, it's a lead management dashboard, and Spencer touched on it's really intuitive and a bit of state agency proof to make sure you can't break it or jump around too many places, unlike a lot of CRMs. But it's the customer experience that we're interested primarily. How can we help them get to a point of booking a viewing and expressing their motivations quicker than waiting for the estate agent to call them up the next day, or maybe not at all, as we know.
Spencer, did you
Yeah, just on that, on the consumer journey piece, with a self-service, what we found when we've done our sort of data analysis and spoken to people about what they think about the journey is they're actually further down the road. So mentally, they're more aligned with us because they think, well, it's not just an inquiry. I've done a bit more with these guys. I'm further down the track. So I think that the individual consumer is they're more aligned with us being, paramount than they would be if it's just sending a general inquiry, because they feel they've done a bit more. And that's really interesting, I think. And that's something that, a lot of people will miss off. That yes, this is something that we're going to try and help in efficiencies within our businesses and within our offices for our teams. But most importantly, as Lars said, it is all about the consumer. If we make it better for them, they're going to tell their friends and more will come. Yeah. And if they are further down the track and actually, we've all seen those progress things. It's 10%, 20%, 30%. They're just further down the line. They're a bit happier. They feel like they've completed a bit more rather than just sent a message into the abyss, hoping that someone will come back. And as Asad said, 50% of the people sitting there waiting for a response, they're never going to get one. It's that the consumer piece is massive.
Great. And Lars, I mean, there are obviously other lead management products out there. What do you feel differentiates Area in particular from those other ones that are available?
Yeah, there's a couple out there. There are some key differences without going into those particular businesses. But for area, it's the automation side. I don't know any other products that enables customers to self-service so fluidly, and for that data to land so clearly and succinct real time in a platform. Then also offers automated property matching. And we've got a great algorithm how that works, and that's adaptable to each estate agent and different geographical areas they might work. So yes, we're not the only player in this space, but I don't think it's right to, I guess, pigeon us as a lead management software per se. It's an automation piece really, and that's automation for the customer and automation for the user, the estate agent. So there's actually 50 plus different features Area's got now, too many to go into now, but just the fact that we can help prioritize those leads so quickly by having 50% plus of customers provide that self-service. I don't know any other product that does that.
Great. What advantages do you feel it gives you as a business?
What advantages, sorry?
Yeah.
I suppose you can do more with less people. So the efficiencies are definitely there. One of the advantages we've seen is that what we're not now doing is polluting our database with
that's a great one.
Unresponsive applicants. So Area acts basically as a filter. If we try and get hold of people and they're just not responsive, then they don't enter the database. They stay within the Area platform. If at a later stage they do get back in touch, it's still within Area, so you can see the history of that particular individual and what they've inquired on in the past. Now, what we haven't got in the database is, for instance, each negotiator with 500, 600, 700 people that they're trying to look after, that the majority of them are not responsive. What should be in the database now is responsive people we've actually spoken to, people that have seen properties. So really your hotter buyers are now in your database, and so you can manage them more effectively. And that's probably been one of the biggest sort of advantages for us is the database is still the source of truth.
Yeah.
All your hot buyers are going to be in there. An Area acts like a filter, really. And now what we've also done is we've integrated it with our CRM, which has speeded up even more.
That's great. I think I should probably put my hands up and apologise for all of the CRM people in there, because for years, haven't we, us and the email providers have just said, put everyone in your database, obviously, and then keep them turning over so you don't lose anybody. But what you lose with that is you lose the empathy, the connectivity. You talk about some of the older, more mature people in the industry and how much they rue the loss of the hot boxes, where you knew the buyer, didn't you? You could touch and feel it. And they do become numbers, kind of matrix style, don't they, when they go into these CRMs? And it's that classic almost, it's rubbish in, rubbish out. It's just if you can minimize that and ensure those hottest ones there, the conversion rates are always there. When we opened in Australia, one of the best agents over there at Marshall White, he turned it round completely on his head. And rather than, it was almost bragging rights. We've got 30,000 people in our database, 40,000 people in our database. He dropped it down to kind of 50 to start off with, managing those. And his figures beat the other 200 people who were in that business because, he was just able to work those far more effectively. Yes, there's got to be a place, hasn't there, I suppose, in email marketing for soft touch and nurturing. But what you're talking about, and if I understand anything about your businesses, it really is to make sure that we get to those, the 80-20, the Pareto, the hot buyers in the quickest possible time and deal with them efficiently.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. What about yourself, Spencer? And it might be one of the surprising features, one of advantages from Area. What do you feel it gives you?
So the data gives us different ways to make better business decisions. It points you in a better direction because you're making it something that's tangible to you, that's very specific to you and your agency and what your plans are for the future. So I love that about it. Time efficiencies, obviously repetitive read, we all want to lose that from our lives. So you know that the templates that you can set up, email templates for responding. So each different consultant has their own style. So flexible within a framework, so they have their own personality that they can put within, you know, within their dialogue with interested parties. As I said, the absolute key is that the quality of our data in our CRM is far, far superior than it was. And if that was the only thing, that would be plenty good enough. But from our perspective, it's making the sort of better business decisions, and also knowing that area have made this decision. It's quite evident that it's not done. It's not finished. It's a progressive thing. It's like, okay, well, what can we do next? I think Lars mentioned there's 50 different things, options that you can use within it. But what I love about it, then, the reason why they want to progress is as things change within the sort of Keaton's business, they're very much aligned, and they will listen to sort of real life problems. Lars and, you know, the back end sort of team, the tech team, have recently changed a few things that we specifically wanted for us, because we needed adjustments. It wasn't, we just wanted to see how it works. And it was very much an open dialogue, and not, you've got to wait for the next release. It was like they worked with us, and that was pretty special. You know, that's the difference between having like a proper collaboration rather than just paying a monthly bill.
Being dictated to.
Yeah, exactly. I don't like that.
Again, don't bring up the past now. It's the past. I think that is really good, and actually it segues perfectly into my next question. You can have the best tech in the world, the best solutions out there, but ultimately you need to get up to speed with it. You know, one of the most frustrating things from both agents and suppliers' point of view is when their clients are only using, say, 50% of the package. Ordinarily, that's because the onboarding hasn't been done, you know, particularly well. It's kind of like, you just get on with it. You know, you get a user manual that thick that nobody ever reads or anything like that. That's where hearing the way you talk about the UI is important. But it sounds like you also say there is a fair bit of hand-holding there. Asad, could you just talk us through how that, you know, what did that side of things look for you when you implemented Area?
Yeah, the Area team were with us all the way. The thing about Area, it's such an easy, even I understand it. So it's nice.
That's my line.
It's got bright colours. I mean, it's so easy to use, and even when you onboard a new employee, a new team member, it's such a joy to show them how to use it, because within minutes they understand how the process works.
That's good, isn't it?
It's not like, for instance, most CRMs where there's probably used 20% of the features and the rest is just empty fields. This is very, very simple. So the onboarding was quite easy, wasn't it, Lars? It was just, this is what it does. You know where you are at each stage, because there's colours. It's all very simple. So it's you can tell it's been made by estate agents for estate agents.
I can see that. It's probably going to be the crappiest marketing campaign ever. It's got colours.
Don't make it sound too simple, chaps.
I think that's you know, taking it seriously though, Lars. That's a really important point, isn't it? To make sophisticated software appear simple and simple to use is a real balancing act, isn't it? Because a lot of the time you're trying to portray a lot of information, and as Asad's just highlighted, I know we use the same CRM system. You can just end up with, you know, feature overload on the page, can't you? Buttons here that you've never done. I mean, who the bloody hell still has a fax field for, you know, these days? So that must be good to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got some brilliant developers, and I think naturally estate always want more, don't they? There's always another idea, and you've got to, less is more often with software, isn't it? You've got to pare it back a bit. If it's not intuitive and it's not obvious what you do with that particular field or that process, then it's just going to get forgotten about at the front end. So we've very much come from the less is more space, and try to keep the dashboard, the UI and the UX as clear and as easy for any stage to pick up and onboard themselves. So when a new client comes on board, we do have some face-to-face training, or online training as it is these days. But we can literally onboard an agency of varied sizes within a couple of days, really. We've got that process now down. Then there's some training of key users, and thereafter it's really the heads of the estate agency or the key users can then train new recruits they see fit. It's not kind of that minefield of I really need to send them on a 2-day training course to learn this. It's just not like that.
Is the training included in the model?
It does vary a little bit on size of the company, but yeah, look, in short, yes, it's included. So that wouldn't be a blocker to us onboarding you. So yeah, it is pretty much included.
Excellent. And so you obviously, as a company, put a lot of stock in training and development of your staff. How was Area in terms of the onboarding for you?
It created not one ripple. Not one. Everyone got it. And all joking aside, it works by colours. It's just perfect. It's very, very easy to use. And I think that everyone understands very quickly its purpose for the individual user, for the people they're going to be dealing with, the consumer, and also the benefit to the team as a whole. So there is whichever, if you try and pick a hole in it, there's not really one there from an onboarding perspective, because normally you bring something in and people are very skeptical over, oh, you're going to be looking at me more, you're going to be looking at this, this is a big brother sort of scenario. And actually there was none of the above. And as Lars said, within a day the guys were up and running, and it was, when there's been, I wish you could now do that, it's okay, well, that's just around the corner, and not just round the corner as in 2 years round the corner, or 2 weeks, we're ready to go with this next thing. That's the beauty with it, is this progressive piece. But because it suits so many different people within the office, and the consumer journey is improved, what's not to like? I mean, yeah. As simple as that, really.
And I just want to look at the integration piece there. Do you mind me, guys, just talking about your CRM system? Do you mind me saying who you use? Yeah, okay. So you've got Salesforce, haven't you, within there, and Spencer, a little known product called Repeat, which I seem to remember from some time ago.
Pink Man sold that to us many years ago.
As long as you didn't say missold, I'll take it. So Lars, what's the potential for the clients like that? Have they got them integrated into their systems? What's your approach to third parties?
It's always been, if we can integrate, we'll do it. Obviously, it's a two-way street. That, as you know full well, Simon. So we are somewhat reliant on the capabilities and the want from the CRM provider. But as Asad found out, he's using Salesforce, as you know, and there's not many agents that use that, so it's a bit of a bespoke case for us. But we integrated pretty much immediately to onboard location, and taking that integration so far that we've got a property feed set up, and that enables us to do automated property matching. So if it can be done, we'll do it. We are integrated with all the major CRMs in terms of data in terms of data out,
Yeah.
Data in, well, the biggest moves we've been able to make is obviously with the new Repit Foundations platform, which is just gone live this week.
It's big news. I don't know when people will be watching it, if they're not watching it live, but obviously Foundations was launched early in the year, but they needed to get it onto the right platform, and now they've managed to actually pull a rabbit out of the hat and get it rolled out to all the existing clients at the same time, haven't they? So that does offer up some real potential, doesn't it, for users of that particular CRM package?
Huge, yeah, and it is the first platform that's a true marketplace for all good prop tech apps out there. So the Air app's in there. I've got a little bit of final testing to do if anyone's watching this live, but the next week or so, the Air app will be fully up and running. And that is a game changer, because that means that's data in as well. So, in Air's case, when you go to close off a valid lead that you would then manually add to your CRM, i.e. copy and paste relevant data over from the Air platform into Repit, you'll no longer need to do that process. You will just close the lead off, and the data will pull straight through into the Repit interface. The Air application will literally live within Repit. So you can either go from Area platform and pull the data through, or you can just go straight onto the Air application within Repit, and the data lives there. So it is a game changer. It's early days. I'm sure there'll be a bit of back and forth in terms of improvement at both ends, but we're super excited about that, because it's been a year in the making, as you know, Simon. If not longer. There's a lot of Repit clients that have been waiting for this for a long time, and it is a big step change for the industry.
The best thing you've got using Repit in the part of the business as well. By definition, many of the Repit clients are quite large users, investors in PropTech and everything else, but they will have similar challenges to you that obviously you felt you needed to create areas. So that there's a great degree of confidence they should have in terms of these guys. They've lived and breathed the issue. They've come up with a solution for the issue. It now specializes, and it should work for them especially well.
Yeah, absolutely that. Yeah, couldn't agree more.
Excellent. And we spoke about the data it gives you. Spencer, you were just talking about it before. What sort of other insights is it able to give you that you simply didn't understand before?
I think it's the fact that all of the data sits in one location. That's from a time efficiency perspective, that's what works best for us. If you're looking at where your leads, as Asad said earlier, where your leads are coming from. So in terms of, when the portals come and tap you on the shoulder about them wanting to invest more, well, actually you can show them some, real data that's pertinent to your individual agency, rather than saying, hey, this is what we're doing in the UK. We're giving you thousands of leads every week. I don't want thousands.
Yes, thank you.
That's not what I need.
Aren't we great? And that's a really interesting dynamic there, though, Spencer. I mean, we used to have sort of more bootstrap reports in terms of sources and everything else, but to be able to have that kind of information there, I'm guessing that's putting a few of those portals account managers on the back foot a little bit, isn't it?
It definitely is an enjoyable thing to hold back. Wait for them to deliver their piece, and actually, can I just run through some of the things that I've got for you here? And then it's quite there's more parity in the conversation now. Like that's the key thing. And I think portals, you can be scared to death by them. At the end of the day, you need to know what your core business is all about and how it's behaving at any one time. And people sometimes, you can look at too much data, but the beauty is there's so much different things, different things you can look at, so many different things you can look at, I should say. That means, again, you just go to that area that you need at that specific moment, or, there's stuff that you might not be particularly interested in. But the key thing for me is, the consultants have all become very keen on looking at data. That didn't happen pre-area. So they're not, they can look at their own behaviors. And also the other thing that's happened is the actual really working as a team. So they know if someone's sort of, doing a lot more, they recognize that actually they need to help out a little bit, or, you know, they can say to, you know, whichever desk it is, you need to, you know, step back a little bit, you know, we can, so they have a better understanding of what's happening with each other as well, not just off their own desk.
That's fantastic, isn't it? That really, I can understand exactly, having, you know, seen area a few times, and but the way you talk about that really would resonate when you could tell straight away, as you said, if somebody was just getting too much. And so if you do have that, and obviously Paramount's a brilliant company for that team ethos, you can understand how that would work very well.
Yeah.
Asad, what about you? Do you feel echoing Spencer's thoughts there in terms of what those kind of insights the software gives you?
Yeah, it is a great conversation with the portal when their reps come round. I use exactly the same strategy as Spencer. Turn the laptop round. So quite fun. The insights in terms of, one of the cool features is that it actually records the calls as well. And from a training perspective, that's really, really good, because you can sort of listen to it, and if a call's been dealt with particularly well, then you can basically show what good looks like to the rest of the team, especially your sort of newbies as well. This was a particularly good call, and it was a good call for these reasons.
And that's often overlooked, isn't it, Asad? You know, a lot of people, they hate the concept of call recording because they perceive it as being a bit like battery room call centers. You know, you're just going to critique what they're saying, but highlighting what good looks like has a far better effect anyway, doesn't it?
Yeah, we're not. Our culture's not to beat people over the head if they've made mistakes. So
it would be if I worked for you, believe me. You useless whale.
Yeah, we're very transparent. They absolutely know that the calls are recorded, and they welcome the feedback. It's just about improving the business, isn't it? So
yeah, it is very much so. And Lars, I assume you're going to be able to keep, you know, as Spencer keeps talking about, keep evolving that, keep helping those insights to give them an edge, whether it's with the account managers of certain portals or otherwise.
Yeah, we've got to, haven't we? You know, any prop tech that isn't continuously evolving is dead, isn't it? I would have thought so. You know, we're very conscious that we've got to keep moving the product along, and we touched on collaboration earlier. Some of the best ideas have come from our clients, and we've implemented them. And we've not just implemented for them, we've implemented it across the board because it's just a good idea. So that's been going on for the last 2-3 years. So you know, with the support of, you know, your likes of Paramount and location and Keaton's, and, you know, combined with the great product developers we've got, then it's a good recipe to really keep moving the software along, and we will do so. You know, the property auto property batching feature got released in January and tested in Keaton's, and we released it to clients sort of 2-3 months after that, and it's proven a real winner. Literally, it's increasing leads by 20%. Well, you know, maybe agents don't necessarily need more leads at the moment, but if those leads are coming from, or those inquiries are coming from the more motivated buyer or tenant, then absolutely, you know. And I don't think we haven't quite touched on that yet. When the customer receives that auto response from Area, it's obviously white labeled or in the agent's brand. Now that customer could be jumping around Rightmove all evening from one agent to the next. You know, they don't care who they're dealing with at that moment in time. But because that self-service response lands real time, if they open that email up and it's just a hyperlink, they don't have to log into any kind of platform, then they're automatically or instantly or immediately engaged with that estate agent's brand. They're going through the self-service. They're getting possibly an auto property match at the end if there's similar properties to the initial inquiry they've made. So it's a win-win. Not only increasing your viewings, you're engaging that customer 24/7 in your brand that probably otherwise would have been jumping around Zoopla or Rightmove, you know, as they would do normally. So, you know, right from the get-go of the inquiry landing real time in the dashboard, you know, that customer's engaged with that particular estate agency's brand.
So when somebody has, powerful brands like Location and Paramount, but bounce it away at the quickest possible opportunity from the portals, get them immersed in their own ecosystems, and you've got a better chance of converting, haven't you?
Absolutely.
Without using the phrase, they love the colours. What has the user experience has been like for the staff in general? We spoke about earlier, and it's kind of a loaded question because obviously you've already said that they do like it, but I am quite keen to hear. I said, in terms of the staff there, what's the overall user experience like?
They love it. We're constantly developing our own CRM, and I think I drive them mad with that and with that. So I'm always getting complaints from the team about a particular feature I've introduced or taken away. But with Area, it's the opposite. They absolutely love the product. The new features are well thought through, and I don't think I've had a single complaint about it at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, a little tip: just pretend that Area's your own, and you've developed it in house, and then you can take the halo effects. That's what I'd do. Hold on to the coattails of that. Spencer, your users?
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to navigate
Because of the colours,
for sure. No, you said don't mention that. It's just laid out very nicely.
Yeah. Okay.
It also points you in the right direction of what's important first.
Yeah.
And when you have a deluge of applicants coming through, and actually there's ways to filter so you have the best possible chance of finding someone their perfect home because of the service or, the LQS score, which Lars, maybe you can talk about in a sec. It just points the user in the right direction really quickly. And going back to the start, the best solutions to me are often things that on face value look really simple. I haven't got a clue what's going on behind that system, but I don't want it to be complicated for the user, for me, for the team. I want it to be really simple, but actually it serves a great purpose for us and has solved a lot of the problems and challenges that we have, because you deal with 100 applicants. Where do you start? But where's the golden nugget? Where do you go first? How can anyone know where to go? The only thing you've got to do is go through the 100. Well, by the time you've gone through the first 10, you've lost your energy a bit, the team. 50th, are you going to be as good as you were when you were on applicant 1? And by the time you're, plus 50, your energy levels are low. And then you're getting the call back from the people who, you left a voicemail for earlier. And people don't want that. They want to communicate through the channel. It all sits in one place. And as I said perfectly well, the beauty is if someone drifts off and then comes back, you're picking up at that point. So, that chronological order, what's happened in the past. So that conversation is not, we've got to start again. You've already got that data in front of you. So I hope that helps a bit.
I think it really does. It feels to me more like almost like a WhatsApp thread, isn't it? Where you almost know everything that's been said, the full communication in there. You don't have to pick it all up. That strikes me as a very sensible way of doing things. And actually, you just touched on it there, Spencer. So, often we as suppliers, if I lump myself in there as well, all we obsess about is actually talking about from your point of view. What does the product or service do? But the ultimate big ticket item is actually what your clients are seeing. What's the benefit from them? What are you able to gauge that your clients are seeing as a benefit of Area?
So the fact that they are not buffeted around from pillar to post, that we're all working on this digital journey, aren't we? So that people can they don't go offline and fill out this form and do this over here and then you'll go over here. It's actually it's quite a nice straightforward pathway, and because they're locked and loaded and they're further down that track, they stay with you for a bit longer. That key thing is if people are looking in the evening at a property and you send an email on that one, you might then send, the next 3 that you see or whatever it might be. This is actually, I've seen this one specifically. Oh, look, I can do a bit more here. Like, oh, look, I can even do a little bit more. And then once I've pressed send, I've got correspondence directly back from that agent. And because of the SLA situation, the consultants are on it much faster because they know where to start and who to call back first. So from the consumer's perspective, I think the customer service and the response times are much better on a continual basis than they were before.
In an industry that actually the response levels are endemic.
Yeah, and it's been on a really good point there. Obviously, about picking out any individual area client, and even during these crazy times in terms of the amount of leads that are landing, especially on the letting side, our average response times for an area client, i.e. agent responding to the customer, is within 60 minutes. Now, I know there's a lot of estate agency leaders out there would believe that's what their frontline teams do, but we know for fact that's not the case. And to do that continuously or consistently, to keep responding to each lead within 60 minutes, well, that's a win for the agent, but it's an absolute win for the customer, isn't it? Because that's the biggest complaint customers have about stage. They just don't get the necessary comms back in time, or if any comms at all. So, the customer journey is without doubt improved purely through the response times, let alone their ability to self-service digitally.
Yeah, brilliant. Asad, does that resonate with you as well? Do you feel it gives you ultimately your clients some benefits?
Yeah, like Spencer said, when they use the self-service, they're just further along that journey, aren't they? And a typical applicant may have inquired on 2, 3, 4, 5 properties that evening. So if you as an agent, once you get in touch with them, they're further ahead with you. So you've got that information already for them. You can service them a lot better than someone just ringing up saying, I'm just ringing you back regarding an inquiry. We're much further. We've got all the basic information already. It's just a case of getting that viewing booked in is the next process. So yeah, I think ease of use from your customer and our side is a massive benefit.
I think that's so useful to hear from you guys. Thank you on that. I mean, I think the 3 major takeaways I'm looking at this that's to come up time and time. Actually, no, we're going to have to add in the colour, aren't I? The 4 takeaways I take in. Automation is absolutely key. One of the challenges, and I'm sure this is why Keaton's did do it originally, was that actually perversely the CRM systems didn't do automation particularly well in the past. So to be able to, ultimately that's one of the only proven ways anyway of scaling your business, isn't it? Getting in automation into the business effectively to relieve that stress on the individuals, on the people within your business. So that's massive. I think if you can get into that process. Insights we've touched on already there. If you can't measure it, you can't manage it. The old statement, isn't it? Quite apart from being able to, I'm sure you haven't been able to get a reduction in costs, but if you can hold the price increases to single digits rather than double digits, you're doing better than 90% of the industry again, aren't you? And so again, I love that idea of the insights encouraging team members as well. That's almost gamifying the kind of the elements of support. Of answering these calls. And then finally, we opened up with it, but I think, Lars, that's the thing you've reiterated all the way through. That self-service, giving people the tools that they want at the right time on their own terms, absolutely critical, isn't it? From what I can see.
Yeah.
I've mentioned, obviously, I've mentioned colour. We're banning colours all the way through, but I couldn't ignore pink, could I, for too long? So let's go to a certain wonderful pink website here, because again, just to reiterate, obviously we always encourage everybody go and have a good look around the landing pages on our wonderful pink site. See the reviews. As you can see, they've got 13 reviews here, all from named individuals like Spencer, Asad, and the rest of the team in here, obviously highlighting exactly what it means to them to be using the service. And then I think, as I said, we're always very lucky to actually have really, really, really generous offers from suppliers, but you've gone out of your way. It is, I should reiterate, Pink Thursday here at Kerfuffle Towers, and you've put one on the table for us today. Do you want to just give us an overview there, Lars, just in terms of what you're willing to do?
You're pretty better at explaining than me, Simon, because actually,
you forgot, haven't you?
Clive gave me the information. I'm not up to speed on it yet, so I don't want to miss so much off.
Let me do it.
Do us a disservice.
So the Pink Thursday deal is here. Great. It's going to be basically there's going to be no user or office licenses for the first 3 months, regardless of the size of the business. So clearly, that's there is T's and C's. Obviously, that's based on a 12-month agreement there. And it's only available for 24 hours. So, guys, if you are struggling with your leads, do not dally. Get straight on, press that lovely pink button that's down there to get them, or reach out to Lars direct. Get a demo in the diary, because this could be the absolute, supporting the foundation of your business going into 2021. If you've listened to obviously what Spencer and Asad have had to say about it now, you'll see that they are, I think it's fair to say, as impressed as you can be with a bit of technology. And as I said, I always make myself really unpopular with them when I describe them as massively high maintenance. If you can keep people like Asad and Spencer happy and talking like this, that tells you everything as far as I need to know about the quality of the business. So, gents, just want to say thank you very much. I really do appreciate you spending the time to obviously give other people your feedback. It's incredibly useful to know there. Lars, again, sounds very, very exciting. Keep us up to date, obviously, with any other innovations, as I'm sure there will be loads of them.
Will do.
Thank you. Thanks, Simon.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having us on.
Have a great. I don't catch up with you before.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, everyone.